Hey there guys, Angus Fairbairn of Boss Fitness, and welcome to this video where I'm going to be sharing with you a bit of an insight, or I guess what you can call a scientific myth-busting session about intermittent fasting. So if you aren't aware of intermittent fasting, what it basically is if you think about a span of a day, what it basically is having a long period of that day with actually not having any food. So let's say, for example, that you go to bed at about 10 o'clock at night, you wake up at about between 6 and 8, and then you actually don't eat anything until about 12 o'clock or so, 12 or 1 o'clock, and then you actually only eat food between 1 o'clock and when you go to bed. This is a basic definition or understanding of how intermittent fasting actually looks. Obviously there's a bit more of a scientific breakdown of it, but what I want to do within this video is to give you a couple of key, myths, and I guess breaking of them so that you can actually understand intermittent fasting a little bit more. So a common one within it is that it actually helps you to lose fat and muscle at the same time. To lose fat and to actually gain muscle at the same time. So, aka killing two birds with one stone. But this may work actually if you're just starting out to training into eating healthy and whatever. But if you're someone who is a bit more advanced and has been doing this for a while, well then that's definitely not the case. Because when it comes to losing fat and gaining muscle, you typically need to actually eat completely different amounts to trigger either result. If you're looking for fat loss, you obviously need to be in what's called a calorie deficit. If you're looking to gain muscle and to put on weight, well then you need to be at the right surplus to ensure that you actually are gaining muscle and not just gaining extra fat. So it's a bit of a funny one with people thinking that, but if you're advanced, well then know that it's not going to really actually serve you well. Another one, a common one being, is that it's actually better to have longer periods of fasting compared to shorter periods of fasting. So that kind of comes down to meal timing. So meal timing is something which I've touched on a few times in previous videos, but basically to give you a bit of an understanding, let's say for example that you are eating or that your fasted period is a good, say, 8 hours of the day, and let's say that within that you then have probably about two big sucker meals within that time that you're actually eating, compared to say someone who is fasting a smaller amount of time, but then for the rest of the day they're having broken up meals, so a lot of smaller meals. So to give a bit of an insight, when it comes to the body's processes of breaking down meals, it will usually burn about 10% of the overall calorie intake that comes from the meal. So I mean that regardless of sort of whether you have lots of small meals or just a few big sucker meals, it doesn't really matter in terms of its effect upon the metabolism and things like that. What matters above all in terms of whether you decide to take upon intermittent fasting or you have small meals, big meals, whatever, is just being consistent in supplying the body how much it needs on a daily basis and being consistent within that so that it actually stays in a positive hormonal environment and triggers the results that you want. Because really, like in terms of fat loss as a whole, people prioritize so much weird and random stuff, but really all you need to be focusing on is just energy in, being consistent with your energy out, and then as you sort of progress amongst this and build your consistency, you will then decide where to chop and change and where to progress so that you can move your body forward. Because remember that as sort of humans, our bodies are very efficient, and with the fact that it functions 24/7, it's consistently looking for the right stuff. So in other words, it isn't really caring about when you're eating or essentially what you're eating to an essence. It more so cares about how much and then how often you're consistent with doing that. As opposed to just stressing out about whether food's organic or if it's cold pressed or if it's this or if it's that. Don't even worry. Just keep your focus nice and refined. Keep it simple, and when you're in that state, you're going to find it so much more simpler to apply yourself. And plus you'll enjoy it so much more as well. And when you're in that state, it means that your ability to be consistent will be absolutely awesome and pretty much just like a boss rather than someone who is just going through things, treating them as diets, lasting a couple of days, expecting instant results, and falling off track and then looking to the next one. This is just going to waste your time and cause you to really just blow it in terms of whatever you apply yourself to. So intermittent fasting can be pretty cool, but also it can be pretty bad if you know that if you have, say, like a big period of time of no eating and then just go to absolute town and know that you'll lose control. Well, this is going to send you into a surplus and you'll find that you'll gradually just gain weight doing it this way. So it's more so about finding what works for you, because as long as you're hitting energy targets at the end of the day and you're being consistent, it doesn't matter if you're fasting, if you're not, if you're having lots of small meals, lots of big meals, it doesn't matter, okay? So if you've got any questions about intermittent fasting or fat loss as a whole, drop them below. I would love to show you some love. And if you find that you're someone who is a bit stuck in a ruck and feeling, I guess, out of flow when it comes to your fat loss as a whole, click the link below and it will take you towards my Ultimate Female Fat Loss Survival Guide, which is built to sort of, I guess, give you a greater insight in terms of how fat loss works and help you to lose fat and to tone muscle the real way, okay? It's on mega special at the moment, so don't miss out. And once again, thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you next time, okay? Bye-bye.